Welcome to the SciFi Pubcast. Come for a drink, but stay for the speculation. We're talking law enforcement and science fiction and geekdom. It's a cop-out, you could say. And we have Dr. Randal Graham joining us again. So before life, drink. Yes, you definitely need to drink for this episode. We hear water is quite good. This is the SciFi Pubcast. Greetings, welcome to the SciFi Pubcast, the podcast that tries to be a pub and perhaps someday a pub that tries to be a podcast. And as always, we are looking for customers to come visit our bar. So if you're passionate about something or have an interest and want to be on a podcast, please let us know because this bar is always all about community. Yeah, we're a community bar. So my name's Joe Ouch. I'm the bar owner of this fine establishment. And looking around today, my God, we have a full complement of staff members. This is great. I see Carrie, Derek, and Randall. Carrie, how's things?
Oh, not bad. I just finally recovered from my Aikido seminar last weekend. So yeah, now things are just normal. Now only the things that are normally sore are sore, wow, rather than everything being sore.
That sounds on the rough side. Oof.
Yes.
Good on you. Nice.
Well, that's what happens when you get your ass kicked for 15 hours in a weekend.
Well, if it works for you, by all means, that's my attitude.
It totally works.
Excellent. And Derek, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good. I just got back from a little trip to Connecticut. I went to this really big casino that had a lot of bars, and I went to a zoo where I got as close to an elephant as I've ever gotten before. I was only like 5 feet away from her.
Oh, I thought you meant emotionally.
I gazed deep into her soulful eyes, and we really had a connection.
Well, good for you.
Okay.
And
it is Pride weekend up here.
I also went to an aquarium. Where I got to play with the penguin because they had these little portholes going into their tank, and I was kind of like running my hand along the inside of it, and the penguin was chasing my hand around. It was really cute.
Oh, good. Excellent, I think. You know, when I was a kid, I actually rode an elephant down in Florida. I think it was like Busch Gardens or like Disney or someplace like that, or one of those cheaper theme parks. True story. I rode an elephant.
Nice.
Yeah. I think there was an adult behind me, but still, there you go. Right. Randall, how you doing, my friend?
Things are going well. As I mentioned a second ago, it's Pride weekend in Toronto this weekend. And if you ever have a chance to visit Toronto during Pride weekend, it's amazing. The energy in the city is incredible. My wife and I were there all day yesterday and rather appropriately saw the Book of Mormon for the first time, which was amazing.
Oh, wow. Excellent.
Cool.
Yeah, I think Toronto's having a good run for weekend parties. Last weekend was the Raptors, and this weekend is Gay Pride, which is great.
Yeah, Party Central in Toronto. And I enjoy the city so much more now that I don't live there.
You know, it's funny because I lived there myself for about a year and a half, and I quite enjoy the city. I just thought it's just so costly to live there. If you can't take public transportation to work, yeah, you're screwed. So, yeah. But Toronto, I'll move back under the right conditions.
That'd be good for me.
Yeah,
have you only a couple of hours away?
Exactly. I'm trying to get back to London, Ontario. Maybe that would happen someday. We'll see. And because I like London. And if you don't know, Randall lives in London, Ontario. And I'm doing well myself. Work's getting to me a bit, but work is work. What else I can tell you? Well, I got my ticket for Star Wars Celebration Anaheim, which is happening in Anaheim, California next year.
Oh yeah, I got mine too. My wallet is screaming and paid, but you know, I have my tickets, and now I just have to find lodging.
I'm staying at the Best Western with my brother Sean, and it's a miracle that I actually got a hotel because I waited a half hour in the waiting room, the virtual waiting room, to get something, and no hotel was popping up, and then suddenly Best Western popped up, and I jumped on it. Yeah. So
I had to wait a few months for things to recover from, you know, June is usually a very expensive month for me.
Yeah.
How far away is your hotel, Randall? Joel?
It's within walking distance. It's like a half a mile.
Oh,
so it's well worth it. I'm paying $192 American for 7 days.
Oh wow!
So,
$192 total.
$192
a night. A night.
A night.
Yes.
Oh,
I was about to say that's a really good deal.
I was going to say.
Oh yeah.
Like where? Like who's who do I have to sell my soul to get a rate that cheap?
Yeah, it's not cheap, but compared to the Marriott or the Hyatt, yeah, it's definitely cheaper.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to pay $500 American a night, which I've done before for New York Comic Con. Yeah, brutal. Yeah. But of course, I'm going to be there a couple of days early with my brother if work allows me to travel, if I'm still employed, the usual caveats. And I'm going to check out Disneyland for 3 days and then Star Wars Celebration Anaheim for 4 days, which is happening August 27th to the 30th, 2020. Hopefully we see everyone there. Mm-hmm. I know Derek's not going because Derek's going to watch it online, right?
Yeah, I'm going to watch it all on YouTube for free.
Yeah. And of course, Randall, Sunday, man, you really need to check out a Star Wars Celebration. Just saying, my friend.
Yeah, I think that'd be a blast. But so far, I haven't gone to any conventions that don't float.
Well, maybe one of these years, Randall, you and I can meet up at STLV and have fun, because that is one of my bucket list cons.
Yeah, and I love Vegas. It would be nice to meet you in person, too.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Speaking of Anaheim, I know there's a bunch of people who are friends of the show who will be there as well. We have Ernie Garcia is going to be there. A whole whack of other people. So it's going to be a big gathering of like-minded
nerds.
And you call me a nerd? Sure, I'll wear it on my sleeve. And friends.
Yeah. I hate, you and me both, dude.
Well, you got to be honest with yourself, right? Before you can be honest with other people. So there's that.
Well, I hit peak nerd this week when I posted a picture that I think you guys may have seen on social media. And it was me in a bow tie taking a mirror selfie with a camera that has a backing on it of the Star Trek Discovery logo. And I thought that might be the nerdiest thing I've ever done, apart from the Star Trek cruise.
Yeah, I saw that.
Randall, you do realize you wrote like a geeky fiction book called Before Life, right? That's pretty geeky.
Oh, that was nerdy? I didn't even realize that. My nerd dar is off.
Yeah, so if you're listening at home, please have a drink right now, because we said Before Life. Oh, that's another drink.
I like that. I think people around the world should embrace this drinking game, especially people who really, really want to have some booze.
Yes, exactly. That's going to be me when I'm ending this show later today. Yeah. Let's see. Because I'm the bar owner, I really need to make sure my business, which is not a business, it's a passion project. I have no, what's the word I'm looking for? Pecunial? Financial interest in this. Derek, how's the kitchen doing?
It's pretty good. Today I am offering what I'm workshopping as bake nuts. As we all know, the two sources of food that we always associate with law enforcement are donuts and bacon. So what I did was I got a bunch of pig fat, because that's what bacon is, right? It's just pig fat. I got a bunch of pig fat, fried it into the shape of a donut, and then slathered it with lots and lots of icing. Should be delicious.
Right, and you're gonna
that's not how
it's the best of both worlds.
I'm not even. I can't even wrap my brain around how many things are wrong with that that concept.
I think someone's going to pay us a visit, unfortunately.
Some species of law enforcement.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, and don't worry, I made sure all our toilets were working beforehand.
Speaking of which.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's someone flushing one of the toilets right now. I installed these high turbine flushers to make sure we, got all our business taken care of, because there's going to be a lot of it.
No, apparently there's a contingent of motorcycles going past my apartment.
Oh, good. As long as our business license covers us, I'm sure that's okay, right? If not, I know a few lawyers here and there that hopefully can help us out. Yes. Just very quickly for housekeeping, I'm on another podcast called the Crash Couch, an expense podcast, which I do with people like Chris McGuffin. It's his show. We have Ernie, we have Laura, and we have Ian on that. And officially, we're now part of the Ghana Geek Network. That's the Crash Couch, not the SciFi Pubcast. The SciFi Pubcast will always be independent until we're not, because we like to have control over our creative endeavors. Okay, and our beer recommendation is this Calaburi Brewing beer called Front Porch, which is a Kolsch, which I like. They're from Calabogie, which is near Ottawa. There's 4.7% alcohol by volume, and 32 out of 100 on the IBU scale. So there's that. Since it's summer, and it's called Front Porch, and it's a Kolsch, so it's a nice light gold color beer. Yeah, I can taste one right now. Oh, well. once I finish recording this episode of the SciFi Pubcast. Okay, guys, you ready for this law enforcement and science fiction and geekdom topic?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one.
Yes, so off the top, and I want to say this, that we are very respectful of law enforcement. We are very pro-law enforcement. You could actually say I'm very engaged in law enforcement. So if we make any jokes, off-color jokes, please, we're just trying to be funny, and humor sometimes doesn't work. And we are doing the show not to offend anyone or any sensibilities. But law enforcement is a big part of science fiction, and there's some really good law enforcement examples. And the philosophical underpinning is quite interesting. So,
I do have to disclose my bias as well when we're talking about law enforcement because, as Joel knows, I have some feelings about this topic, given that my father spent 30 years in a maximum security prison.
Yes.
Really? He was a guard.
Oh.
But yeah.
You set me up well for that one.
Too funny. So,
nevertheless, that does leave me with some feelings about law enforcement.
The joke I written last night, which I'm really trying not to make, but I'm going to make it anyways, is cops in space. Get it?
Nice.
It's a bit on the fuzzy side, you could say, Muppet reference aside. So there's that. And again, just want to be very respectful of law enforcement and all that because they do a dangerous job that very few people want to do. So
I hereby retract all bacon references.
There you go. Okay, let's get into the whole law enforcement thing because I think there's a difference between law enforcement and intelligence agencies or organizations. I think with law enforcement, it's just like the words basically mean, it's the enforcement of law passed by a government. Whereas intelligence organizations, well, their primary duty is to collect intelligence. And then, of course, there are an apparatus of the state in terms of military might and military force sometimes, i.e. assassinations, if you deal with certain intelligent organizations. So we have law enforcement, which has, in real life, the powers of arrest. And the entire purpose is to arrest bad people and bring them in front of a court of law, versus an intelligence organization, which entire purpose is to protect the state or protect the corporation. And so you have this executive power thing going on. What do you guys think?
So you're saying one is for preserving justice and the other is for subverting it?
Well, that's a very philosophical question, which is going not to be the topic of this episode.
Especially in fictional organizations, of course.
Yeah, of course. That's the thing, right? We're dealing with fictional organizations, law enforcement, intelligent organizations. And this focus of this show is going to be more law enforcement. But it's what makes for a good story. And I'm sure Randal has lots of opinions on the philosophy of law enforcement. We can dive deep down the rabbit hole of Socrates and Plato, which is often mirrored in science fiction itself. The whole idea is that if there's a law and it's unjust, what's the right thing to do? Do you break the unjust law, or do you follow the unjust law because it's the law? Yes. Yeah. Drink. Yes. Another inside jokes. But let's see. And I think there's a difference between policing and detecting and investigating crime. I know I'm taking a bit of time here, but let's say again I'm kind of engaged in this because you have policing, which most people think as security, keeping the peace. But police is more than that too, because it's also a role of detecting crime and catching bad guys. So it's very different when you go out and say enforcing traffic laws versus trying to detect crime and that's large scale, homicides or frauds or money laundering or name anything that's against the law. The Endangered Species Act, things like that. So there's that, and it boils down to what's the philosophy of policing. And I think police generally they differ on this. Many police people, I suppose, don't even think about this because it's too philosophical. Because they're practical people. But what's the primary responsibility of law enforcement? Is it to keep the peace, or is it to catch bad guys and put them in jail?
Probably depends on the nature of the governing body that has appointed the police agency, right? I mean, if you're dealing with a despotic state, then the police are probably an arm of the executive that are designed to see that the executive's will is done. If you're dealing with a more democratic governing body, then keeping the peace, ensuring peaceful relationships between people, and disputes being resolved by law rather than by force ultimately, though, the purpose of any armed organization is to give armed backing to the promises of justice, the promises of security made by the state.
Yeah, and what happens if that contract, that social contract, fails, and you live in the state's not doing its job, and so there's no security? What tends to end up happening? Well,
it's just mob rule.
Yeah, it's mob rule, or vigilantism, or it's warlords and the use of force and might is right.
That's how you get Batman.
Yeah, Batman and Punisher. But that's the whole thing. Is like
Judge Dredd.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, Judge Dredd's kind of different because he has the back in the state. But
that's right.
You're right. But go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'm only vaguely familiar with Judge Dredd. I think I've seen the movie like once.
Well, technically, I think you'll find. Technically, I think you'll find he is the law.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we'll talk about Judge Dredd. He's one of my favorites, and actually, he's one of my favorites. My brother's favorite science fiction, content is Judge Dredd of all things. It's very British, back in at least the comic books. But going back to the whole vigilante thing, look at Batman. I've been binge watching Gotham. I know I'm late to the party, but I've been busy, and I'm just done season 2, and it's just, you can see why people take the law in their own hands if the state and as an extension of the state, law enforcement is inept or corrupt or incompetent. It just shows how bad things can happen easily if you do not have a competent law enforcement organization.
Or if you just have, people if you just have a city full of people who are completely bonkers.
Yeah, there's that.
I mean, you're only on season 2. But trust me, the show goes off the rails in all the best possible ways.
Ah, great. Yes. I don't know. Randal, what do you think? And I was going to say Derek, but what do you guys think?
Well, I was thinking about the topic for this show and what do we mean when we talk about law enforcement? And as you know, my primary fandom is probably Star Trek. And it's got a really unusual depiction of law enforcement in most of its series because we're sitting on a quasi-military exploration vessel all the time in most of the series. And so anything resembling police work and law enforcement is dealt with by a security arm of this exploration force. And it's almost paramilitary in nature. Which is quite different from our standard view of policing. And we don't really see anything resembling standard policing or real-world policing until we get to Deep Space Nine and Odo appears as an honest-to-goodness, gumshoe police officer type. And I just loved Odo and his depiction of policing, even though, as again, full disclosure here, I sometimes teach evidence law. And I can't imagine the amount of evidence that Odo gathered that would have been thrown out by any competent judge. Just having a cop who's a shapeshifter and, hangs around spying on people all the time, that would be difficult to justify under most legal orders that I'm aware of. But for me, the weirdest example of policing / law enforcement in Star Trek that I was thinking of is a police agency designed to enforce primarily one law. And that's the Temporal Prime Directive. You have this entire police force in the future in Star Trek on time ships run by people like Braxton, whose one job is to make sure people don't break the Temporal Prime Directive. And if they do, it's an unusual police force because rather than just arresting those responsible, they try to undo the damage that has been done, which is really interesting job for the police to do.
But then you also have like the Black Ops wing of law enforcement as exemplified in Section 31.
Absolutely. I think that more as an intelligence agency, as Joel was bifurcating those two arms. But absolutely, that there's no reason to not consider that a form of policing as well.
Speaking of which, have you caught up on Discovery yet?
Oh, me, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, good. Yeah, because
yeah, those
it's interesting to see how the introduction of Section 31 in DS9 has been kind of retroactively melded into the history of Trek.
Well, so many things retroactively melded in as a result of Star Trek Discovery. But yeah, Section 31, I really liked the way it was dealt with in Deep Space Nine. I thought it was brilliant how they made it this sort of secretive pseudo-police organization that people didn't even really know existed. And we're only successful because of the inevitability of needing someone capable of doing things that other people didn't want to see done.
So that police force that manages the whole time investigation business, I probably think the overtime claims would be a bit out of line for most of them.
Nice. Imagine docketing your time when you're working on a time ship.
Oh dear.
Oh, wow.
There's got to be some serious auditing going on that ship.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine the scheduling issues.
Which version of me can work that day?
Oh, that's classic. I love that. So, yeah, Star Trek's kind of neat, especially when you compare Star Trek to, say, Star Wars, which we often do, and the whole Jedi business. And the Clone Wars, when the Jedi basically stood up and became generals and of the Republic forces to try to beat the Separatist forces, which is very different from their traditional role as being peacekeepers and maintainers of the peace. So more of a security/intelligence role.
Mm.
It went from domestic to international.
Yeah, basically.
Well, and I get nervous about anybody having policing powers when one of the things that they exercise is also pseudo-telepathic power, right? Because you've got Jedi able to affect the minds of people. They could make people confess for whatever they want. And it starts to, if you pursue the idea to its creepiest ends, it can turn into something resembling Psychor from Babylon 5.
Right.
Yeah, which I can see that.
It's going to depend heavily on the willingness of judges to enforce rules about the gathering of evidence by a police force.
I'm sure they don't mind.
Nice.
Get it? Mine? Not mine. Mine. Okay. And of course, that kind of goes down the little rabbit hole of the whole Minority Report, the whole movie by Tom Cruise.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah. And the whole, basically convicting people before they actually do the act, before the criminal act.
Now, is there a Netflix series based on that movie? Because the movie was fantastic.
There was a one-season Fox TV show that only ran for like 13 episodes and was quickly canceled.
Oh, that's
based on what?
Minority Report.
Oh, right.
They did bring back the actress who played the telepath girl. She came back for it.
Oh, cool.
And then the two leads were new, and I don't believe it's anywhere on streaming because I haven't seen Hide Your Hair of that in a long time. But it was decent. It wasn't great.
Yeah,
so the movie I love, but the TV show was just alright.
They were unsuccessful in predicting the audience response.
Yes.
Yeah. So Minority Report from 2002, directed by Steven Spielberg, and loosely based on the short story "The Minority Report" by Philip K. Dick, who also wrote, among other things, a short story that Blade Runner is based off of. So, yes, interesting.
And Total Recall.
Wow. Interesting times. And, of course, before we move on from, say, Star Wars, we do have this whole bounty hunter guild thing going on, right? Lots of bounty hunters. And let me ask you this. Why is bounty hunting legal? Why is it, is it necessary?
I haven't.
The police don't have the manpower or the time or the inclination to hunt down these people.
Yeah,
they don't have access to the underworld.
And jurisdictional issues, right? Like, someone runs away across state lines. The local police can't go and get them. Police in other jurisdictions would need to jump through a whole lot of red tape. But if a private individual brings them back to the state where you have jurisdiction, that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah,
well, I thought whenever someone crossed state lines, that's when the FBI became involved.
Well, that's American, and I don't know about that.
Oh, well.
Yeah, my understanding of it is that anytime you commit a crime crossing state lines, it becomes a federal issue, and the FBI take over from the police.
Yeah, I think that's my limited understanding of how U.S. federal law works, but I know it's more nuanced and complex. And please, this is not legal advice. This show is not about giving legal advice or law enforcement advice to anyone out there.
That's right. And why rely on the FBI when you could turn to Boba Fett?
Exactly. And
Boba Fett has less rules, I think, than typical law enforcement.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, there's still the bounty hunter guild rules, right? So there's that. That's more contractual and business oriented than say justice oriented.
But Boba Fett's rules are probably a bit harder to digest unless you're the Sarlacc.
Right. So the whole bounty hunting thing, in real life, that doesn't exist in Canada. You go to jail for that. I know it exists in some parts of the States. You guys know anything about bounty hunting in the States besides was it Dog from that TV show?
It's funny you say that because I just read a news headline that the female star of that show is just in the hospital now or in a coma or something like that. I just read that before we started recording.
Ooh, brill. That's good.
Wow.
And I know in the States, they just go after bail jumpers. So someone posted a bond, and then they don't show up for court, so they're rearrestable. So they go and they collect these guys. So it's very much a low-level money collection thing. They deal often with really bad people, but it's all about getting your the bond back, your bail money.
Yeah, and when I was summoned for jury duty a few weeks ago, they told us that if they broke for lunch and you didn't come back for lunch, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. So I could have had a bounty hunter coming after me.
Wow. That's something you should YouTube or something. I don't know.
It's so foreign to us because, as Joel was saying, like in Canada, if someone were engaged in bounty hunting, right, they themselves are subject to release or to arrest. And most countries would regard what bounty hunters do, seemingly based on the footage I've seen in the U.S., as a day-to-day act. They would charge them with something like kidnapping or forcible confinement.
Yeah, which is like straight indictable offenses. Oh, brutal.
Yeah. Seriously illegal activity here, and it's a TV show in the States.
Yeah, which is ironic since we're supposed to have more rules against that kind of thing, I think. But I'm not in law enforcement, so I don't know all the ins and outs of that.
Yeah.
It's weird.
And there's also law enforcement can cover more than just police forces. It covers border agencies. So anytime you cross the border, that they're enforcing laws, the Customs Act or the Immigration Act or whatever act your country uses to control people coming in and people coming out. And so is goods, right?
Or the whims of the dear leader.
Yeah, there's
as
that.
It were.
Well, sometimes like borders, they work in some ways and they don't work in other ways, right? And that's like law enforcement. The city bylaw officer who gives out parking tickets. That's a function of the state saying, or the city in this case, hey, we need to regulate the ways of behavior for the greater good. So if you park in a place where you shouldn't be parking, you'll get towed, or at least ticketed. So there's just lots of different types of law enforcement.
Well, there's those who enforce the various jurisdictional equivalents of the corrections legislation to keep people in prison and then harass their sons as they grow up. I mean, sorry, that was...
Oh man!
What are you trying? What are you trying to say, Randall?
What am I trying not to say?
That would be a great episode. Randall's childhood discussed.
Oh gosh, yeah, people would think it was science fiction. Do we have examples of border enforcement or prison law enforcement in science fiction that you guys can think of?
I think in Solo, there's Imperial border air zone that. Han Solo and Han at the time had to escape from.
I think there was like Imperial customs or something like that they had to get through in order to get off planet.
Yeah, there's that. What else in terms of border stuff?
Well, in Star Trek, this isn't. Are we talking about like jails or just border things?
Some of each.
Okay, because in Star Trek, in the pilot of Voyager, Tom Paris was a prisoner. And I think they showed the place where he was working, and it was just kind of like a farm.
Yeah, it's penal colony.
New Zealand.
Yep. Yeah, New Zealand. And then they also talked about Bashir's parents being in jail for the genetic engineering of their child.
Or possibly going to jail. I think they managed to keep them out. I think Bashir managed to keep them out of jail, didn't they?
I don't remember.
And then we have whole prison planets in Star Trek too, like Rurapente, where Kirk and McCoy were sent by the Klingons.
True.
Where Kirk finally had the joy of making out with a shapeshifter who turned into him.
Well, not only that, there were all, I forget which episode it is off the top of my head, but there was also there were a couple of prisons in the original series where they rehabilitated people using various methods of drugs and mind-altering technology and stuff like that, or they're just the madhouse, the one planetary madhouse. I don't remember which episodes they are off the top of my head, but yeah.
I know there's in Star Wars, I should say, in the Clone Wars cartoon series, there's where they kept the one Jedi who turned on Ahsoka and had the whole court thing, and with the prosecutor being
Barris?
Yeah, Barris. Thank you. My memory's
I think
going.
and I think the episode Carrie's talking about of Star Trek, the original series, was the one called Dagger of the Mind.
There was Dagger of the Mind. There was also one in season 3. I'm trying to find it here.
But the Dagger of the Mind episode pops into my head as, I think, unless I'm wrong, the first time we ever see the Vulcan mind meld happen.
I think you might be right, yes.
I'm calling it up now. Yeah, Wikipedia says that I'm right, so that's good news. Doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it's some evidence.
True.
That's lovely.
No, that's not Play of Stepchildren. Not that one. Whom Gods Destroy is another one.
Oh, I'd forgotten about that one.
Yeah, because it's season 3, and most episodes in season 3 are kind of forgettable.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I hate anything from season 3, but still, like, there was one other one though. Yeah, Dagger of the Mind. Oh well, I mean, there was the Botany Bay.
Oh yeah, that's a great example
from Space Seed and Wrath of Khan.
Oh yeah, and that makes my mind drift off to the fact that we do see Noonien Singh in prison in Star Trek Enterprise. Yeah, we do have other examples of people being in prison.
We do see. Oh yeah, Noonien Singh was in prison. Yes, for trying to.
Or Dr. Noonien Singh, rather than Singh.
Yeah, Singh. Yeah.
Yeah, jails. They're not my favorite place. It's kind of like probably the equivalent of hospitals and courthouses. Yeah, places I really wanted to avoid in life.
So, if you wanted to avoid jail, you could get your mind wiped and a new personality implanted, like on Babylon 5.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
True.
Death of personality, one of my favorite elements of the Babylon 5 universe.
Yeah, that's a cool way. So we're now in the whole sentencing, general deterrence and specific deterrence. Interesting.
Well, and the weird thing is the guy who is the victim of the death of personality, if I recall correctly, in Babylon 5, was played by Brad Dourif.
In the one episode, yeah.
Yeah, who's also in Star Trek Voyager, a Betazoid who murders a guy and then gets subjected to a mind meld by Tuvok as a result of his crimes.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but he was also one of the more unhinged Betazoids, I believe.
Oh yeah, he'd been in the Maquis and had this particular passion for killing people, which is not a common Betazoid trait.
Right.
I mean, every once in a while, Diana Troy would go on a murder spree, but that was it.
Now, do you folks think that death of personality is a morally acceptable punishment?
I don't, but I'm like a free will guy, so.
It
so you think
the
it's better for them to be executed or to spend their life in jail?
Well, any punishment that precludes the possibility of rehabilitation is probably less humane than one that allows for that possibility. So death of personality, death of entire, execution includes death of personality, of course, right? Like both aspects, physical and mental, are gone. So I wouldn't say that that's necessarily morally superior, but both of them do preclude the possibility of rehabilitation, right? One is just essentially keeping the person's body alive. And it's not a very veiled homage in Before Life, Everybody Drink, that mind wiping done by Socrates for various philosophical in-joke reasons in Before Life is based in part on the death of personality. And it's for me personally, the reason I wrote that is because that's just, the idea is so dreadful that an arm of the state is able to remove all of your memories, all of your personality, all of your aspirations in order to enforce the will of the state. That I thought that was so terrifying that became the primary peril at issue in Before Life. Greg.
Well, let me put it this way. What do you think is better, for someone to be killed permanently or for someone to have their mind wiped and a friendly personality put in to do acts of service to the state that they took something away from?
I like the New Zealand option.
You're dying either way, but this way at least your body is paying back the debt that you owe to society.
Involuntarily.
But it also there's a potential for the mind wipe to reverse itself depending on which version of sci-fi you're looking at. So, I mean, who's to say that, someone's personality gets wiped and they're suddenly, Santa Claus, but something happens and it triggers a reversal and suddenly they get worse.
Yeah, but that's like a 1 in 1,000 chance weighed against all of the good that those people are doing in charitable acts. And also, I maybe I'm making this up, but doesn't the Psi Corps regularly rescan these people to make sure they're not slipping?
They do. There's a certain sense in which being forced to serve your community involuntarily by having the idea put in your head is it's not quite as horrible as slavery, but it's in the same zip code. You're forcing a person against their will by subverting and removing their will to do things that they would not have done of their own free will. And it's not like you're working off a particular debt and you're aware that you're working off a particular debt, as we have in cases where prisoners are required to perform various forms of labor. You're actually, like Carrie says to us, that the last thing she would ever want to do is, wash a boat. And we're saying, that's okay. We'll replace your personality with one that wants to wash a boat. And we can't really look at her washing the boat as a public good. She's doing it against every shred of will that she had. We just removed that.
But the new personality enjoys washing the boat.
I know, but we did that to Carrie. That's like saying, I'll chop off your head and sew it onto a guy who likes having his head chopped off. And no, you can't measure the justice of that punishment by the person you've programmed to enjoy it. It's like saying, why don't we just hypnotize all current prisoners to enjoy solitary confinement? Then we wouldn't have to have them mixing about with each other.
Good point.
Okay, I have another scenario to pose to you guys. What about the Demolition Man method of just freezing somebody for 100 years? Does that accomplish anything?
Implanting them with skills that might be useful. Although I'm not sure how knitting a sweater would be useful in the 22nd century, late 21st century.
Wait, I actually forgot that part of the movie. I thought they just froze them. Did they put thoughts in their mind or something?
No, they programmed them to have certain skills. That's why are we
allowed to talk about this? Because I hear sirens coming.
Yeah. No, because Wesley Snipes' character was erroneously implanted with all these martial arts skills and knowledge of how San Angeles works, whereas Stallone's character was implanted with the knowledge of how to knit,
but not how to use the three shells.
But not how to use the three seashells.
Yeah.
I think their society.
Why would that be useful?
I think their society in Demolition Man is a bit bizarre as well, because they don't have sex anymore, right? It's all like I know.
No, it's all virtual. It's all virtual.
Yeah, oh God.
But also all restaurants are Taco Bell.
Oh right,
I'm cool with that.
Okay.
So you take the good with the bad. It's fine.
Trust me. I had a momentary freak out when Schwarzenegger got elected as governor, because I'm like, oh shit, we're on our way to the Demolition Man.
Oh God, that's funny.
There's some problem with a society where all the restaurants are Taco Bell, and then the only sanitary product you have are shells.
Yeah.
Well, presumably the shells are self-cleaning. So.
And they're not taco shells.
Well, they never actually explained anything about the shells. It was just like a joke that they never explained. It's kind of like Tyrion not being allowed to finish his joke in Game of Thrones over 8 seasons. Although apparently he did finish the joke in the books.
I always figured for the shells, one is for the back, one is for the male front, and one is for the female front.
You're thinking about this way too much, Derek.
I just thought that
I'm picturing it too. I have drawings. I can show them to you.
No, thank you.
Wow,
this is the man handling our food.
This is a fascinating rabbit hole.
Not my food. Not my food. I brought my own.
getting back to the Demolition Man thing. So how is the system supposed to work then? You're given skills and it's supposed to rehabilitate you?
You're supposed to be given useful skills, I believe. It's been a while since I've seen Demolition Man. You're supposed to be given useful skills and a desire to, I think, not threaten society.
But then what's the point of the 50 to 100 year sentence? Like, are you aware of the passage of time?
Apparently
not.
No,
because Stallone didn't know how far in the future he was. He was like,
yeah.
What is this?
I enjoy Derek's impersonations of Sylvester Stallone. That's a skill that was implanted in him last time he was arrested.
Oh, dear God.
For health code violations.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah.
I actually have been in the back of a cop car. I was in it with a dog. I was out walking my sister's dog while she was at work, and I locked myself out of her house, and I couldn't get back in. So I walked down to the police station, and they put me and the dog in the back to drive me back to the house and help me get over the fence to break into her house.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Which posits the question, is law enforcement allowed to help people break into people's houses?
It depends on the jurisdiction, okay? Let's get this show back.
Sure we could,
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, I'm sure we could come up with an appropriate sci-fi narrative where that would be okay, but not often in the real world.
Wow. Yeah, let's talk about some detectives, some law enforcement people that I actually quite enjoy. We were talking about Babylon 5 there for a bit. How about, Michael Garibaldi as a cop? What do you guys think?
I loved him as a cop. He is just smarter than everyone else in the room, except when he wasn't.
Yeah,
he just needed to learn to watch his back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not get knocked out and brainwashed by Bester.
Yeah, and actually stop drinking is probably helpful as well. So alcoholism and police and law enforcement. The king.
Never heard that before.
No, never. So there's that one. Of course, we have the Night Watch as well, which is kind of like a community group. It's there to help the police, right? Night Watch?
Kind of like the brown shirts, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. But
the brown shirts, the Children of Liberty, and on the most recent season of Supergirl. Yeah, sure. No problem.
Yeah.
What could go wrong?
It's funny. So Joe Brody is played by, of course, Jerry Dole, who passed away a couple of years ago, and I'm paraphrasing a quote from him during an interview, is that he's an Irish guy playing an Italian cop, and he's loving it. It's kind of cool. Yeah,
okay.
You got the tropes of the Irish and Italians, which is of course from like places like New York City and Boston in real life, and just coming through our science fiction. And there's another guy who I really enjoy, which I don't want to talk too much about that because it's still voting and I don't want to do any spoilers. But talking about The Expanse, one of my favorite characters on The Expanse is Detective Joe Miller, or Josephus Miller, especially in the first season when he was working for Star Helix Security. So
yes, I like Miller. He's an awesome character.
You can always tell a good cop if he's wearing a hat.
I'm still hiding in a corner being embarrassed at the fact that I haven't watched The Expanse.
I
know.
Yeah.
I'm a bad person.
Amazon Prime.
Tell me, I not to get off topic, but tell me, Randall, you've at least watched Good Omens.
I have not yet watched Good Omens. I do have the book sitting on my shelf though.
That series is nearly perfect.
Terry Pratchett is one of my favorite authors of all time, and the inspiration behind the footnotes in Before Life, Everybody Drink, because Pratchett's Discworld series, of course, famous for having footnotes in it. But I love the fact that his co-author, Neil Gaiman, promised Pratchett during his life that he would see Good Omens come to the screen, and that was a thing Pratchett had asked of him, and that it's finally taken place. Really, really warms my heart.
Yeah, Terry's hat and scarf got its own chair at the premiere. It was amazing.
That's lovely. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm definitely planning
you need
to.
to.
I am told that's true, or else the sci-fi police will come after me.
Yeah.
See how I tied it back to the theme?
Yes, I like this.
You could be like a man in black, Randall. You guys wear like black color suits, right?
That is a good sci-fi law enforcement agency that I quite enjoy, although they have questionable recruitment methods.
Yes, we're talking about the Men in Black franchise. I just saw the latest one, and it wasn't very good. But still.
It wasn't?
No, I liked it.
I thought it was
it was better than the second and the third one.
No, I like the first and the third. That's a different podcast. Okay.
It must be a Canadian thing, because I think I'd rank them the same way Joel just did.
I've only seen the first two, so I'm not sure. They're on my list.
Yeah. But the whole like Men in Black thing is a big thing in the UFO community. There's a UFO trope that's been going on since like the 50s. And people are into it. This is the idea that there's some sort of secretive government agency that deals with strangeness. And it's not the FBI or the CIA. And these guys generally wear black. And also they try to intimidate people to not report UFOs, or they themselves might be aliens. There's a whole ton of conspiracy theories out there and conjecture. So of course you see this in pop culture. Like we did an episode on the movie Paul from 2011, and they have Men in Black in that. And it's great.
Yes, that was fun.
Yes. So there's that.
That discussion of UFOs and secret organizations makes me realize that we haven't spent much time that I can recall ever on this podcast talking about the X-Files.
You're right. We haven't. Although I haven't seen as much of the X-Files as other people maybe on here.
Yeah, I've seen them all. I grew up with them. They're huge. There's just so much content out there. And sometimes with the X-Files, when they get things right, they really get things right. When they don't get things right, oh my God, it's bad TV. Okay.
Yeah, and they tended to not get things right when they were on a big screen.
Yeah. Oh, awful.
The X-Files movies weren't exactly wonderful, but
I went to see the first movie with my ex-roommate who is a huge X-Files fan. I think I didn't watch all of the X-Files. I saw the finale just because I happened to be living with with my ex-roommate who was a huge fan. Mostly my viewing of the X-Files has revolved around who I was living with at the time. And my ex-roommate refers to, I think it's season 3, as Scully's unfortunate beige period, which I have adopted as a description as what I think of as beige as being a very unfortunate color.
Oh wow! Okay, yeah. So now we have science fiction setting fashion trends. Lovely.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Why not? Yeah, that's good. Oh,
there's another topic for a show idea in the future: fashion and sci-fi.
I thought about that one, and I was almost going to do it with the woman I was dating last year, and that didn't work out. So thanks.
Sorry, Joel.
Oh, yeah. Moving on to better things. There's of course. This is an old movie that was turned into a TV show, Alien Nation from the 80s.
Oh, I love that show.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Now, I remember seeing it as a kid, and it was just really funky because basically you have this, it's a cop buddy movie between a human and an alien, because there's an alien refugee community living on Earth. So it came out in 1988. So
well, there's also the short-lived Almost Human, which was kind of a buddy cop show with a human and a cyborg.
Oh, I watched that.
Android.
Yeah, it was cute.
But also unfortunately short-lived.
Yeah. Is that a trend? Perhaps.
Yeah. I hope not.
Yeah, of course. And of course, listen, the two big ones, franchises, or that I can think of when we talk about law enforcement science fiction, is Judge Dredd and RoboCop. There's no way around these two. Judge Dredd is very British. It was a critique about British politics in the 70s and 80s, especially Margaret Thatcher, which was a conservative prime minister, and the reaction against the state. So when you have people like Judge Dredd and who can catch and convict and execute people on the street for infractions or for criminal activity, I can see some dangers with that in terms of a free and liberal society.
Well, yeah, if you have someone who's capable, who's allowed to be judge, jury, and executioner, that what could possibly go wrong?
Yeah. And I really liked the second film that came out in 2012, Dredd, as opposed to the Sylvester Stallone one from 1995 called Judge Dredd. And I think one of the reasons I like the second one better is the focus of the action was on Dredd. It was on other people, like Judge Anderson. And definitely, the comic books are amazing. I definitely highly recommend the comic books. I grew up with the comic books. It eventually will get back into the psyche of North America, but it's always been in the psyche of, say, the Brits or the Commonwealth. It's amazing. And of course, we got the American response. It was just RoboCop. And who can't forget RoboCop in Detroit, Michigan? Came out, of course, in 1987, and there's been several different versions. Yeah, RoboCop. What do you think RoboCop would work? Should we have like cyborgs policing our communities?
That depends on how much autonomy they have, I think. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
What could go wrong when you have electronic devices designed to take over functions usually assigned to humans?
Yes.
Exactly.
Artificial intelligence, great danger. And that was, wasn't that our last show we mentioned that? Okay. Yes.
Last show or 2 shows ago. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Well,
We
I
needed
figure
someone to
it's
hack
okay
the police.
if it's with a walking corpse.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's what makes you feel safe.
Yes, there's that. What else is there? Well, let's go back to like superheroes movies because he, of course, the best detective in the DC world, of course, is James Gordon, right?
No,
Batman.
No, Batman.
Batman.
He's the world's greatest detective.
Okay, fine. But then who's James Gordon? Yeah, I know he reached the rank of commissioner, but still.
What was that?
He reached the rank of a commissioner?
Yeah, Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah, of course. I really like how the TV show Gotham deals with him.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and I really like Harvey Bullock, especially in the Gotham TV show. Yeah.
Oh yeah. The guy who plays him is just awesome.
Yes. What else is there? Staying with the DC universe, Green Lantern. What do you guys think? The whole Green Lantern Corps.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I love the mythology surrounding the Green Lantern Corps. Don't throw things at me. I did not hate the Ryan Reynolds movie about
I don't hate. I will not throw things at you, Randall. I also don't hate the movie, but also Hal Jordan is not my Lantern. Kyle is. And
really?
I
grew up in the Hal era.
I did grow up in the Hal era because I watched Super Friends when I was a kid, and that was Hal. But when I got into the comics, Kyle was Lantern at the time, so Kyle kind of became my Green Lantern at that point. I personally thought that Ryan Reynolds did a great job playing Kyle. Oh wait, that was Hal. Never mind.
Yeah, I rather loved the Green Lantern Corps when I was a kid. I liked the whole idea of this interspecies police force. Mm-hmm. When you unpack the mythology and it goes back to these ultra powerful little purple dudes living on Oa, and who have the power to create these, do whatever you want devices, and put a flaw in them so that, whatever you do, you can't harm anything that's yellow. It starts to get a little bit nuts. It's, like those crazy 50s era comic books that they were coming up with both in Marvel and DC, where things didn't necessarily have to make any sense at all. But the elaborate mythology that they finally came up with to establish the Green Lantern Corps was an awful lot of fun.
Well, yeah, and green was supposed to be the color of will, and yellow is supposed to be the color of fear. So they kind of canceled each other out. At least that's kind of what they got into with the animated series that aired a while back. Well, and that's where they introduced. That's when they started introducing the other lanterns with the powered by different aspects of emotion and stuff. That's when they fleshed. I think that's when they fleshed it out a bit more.
And wasn't the original Green Lantern, his ring, I think, was powered by magic, and it couldn't affect wood.
Yeah, the Alan Scott
for Alan
version.
Scott, yeah, possibly. I'm unfortunately not as familiar with Alan as I am with his kids.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
The comic book explanation of the yellow impurity, they changed it. Jeff Johns changed it in the 2000s to the fact that Parallax, the fear creature, was imprisoned in the central battery, and that kind of seeped out into all of the Lantern's rings to give them a weakness against the color yellow.
Except for Kyle's ring. Kyle's ring was supposed to be unique. I don't remember the full workup on it, but I remember there was at one point in, I think, the JLA, one of the JLA runs, where he talking about how he just discovered that his ring could like split the atom and stuff like that, and he was really freaked out about it.
It was probably because Ganthet created it independently of the central battery.
Yeah, he did.
So it sounds like this is a police force in sci-fi / superhero-dom that everybody's a little bit interested in. I quite like the Green Lantern Corps.
Me too.
Who's your favorite Green Lantern Corps member who's not from Earth?
Who's not from Earth? Oh, Kilowog.
Kilowog.
Yeah, that's the only one I can name off the bat, too. I love Kilowog.
Yeah, there are a couple others I really like, but yeah, Kilowog is, I mean, it's the only one I can name off the top of my head.
I also like, oh God, what's his name? Oh God, Salat, the officious lawkeeper one. And there was Sodom Yacht, who was a, oh God, what's the oh God, I'm blanking now. He was he's from that race of people that have the powers of Superman, but they're not Kryptonians.
Daxamites?
Daxamites?
Yeah, he was a Daxamite, and he was given a fatal lead poisoning, and the only thing keeping him alive is his power ring. And he was the prophesized savior of the Green Lantern Corps in the Sinestro Corps War. So he had a pretty cool little story there.
I mean, until he went bad, Sinestro was kind of cool as a lantern.
Oh, and Sinestro's daughter is also an interesting character. Her name is it starts with an N. I can't remember now, but she's also a cool character. Oh, and of course Mogo. Mogo? Yeah, Mogo, the planet-sized lantern.
Oh yeah,
wasn't he the lead singer of U2?
No, that's Bono.
Oh.
Well, who knew there was so much interest in the Green Lantern? Yeah, I never read the comics, so I know the Green Lantern through the movie, perhaps some cartoons as a kid, but that's about it. But very cool.
Yeah, the comics are really good. They're actually what got me back into comic books in the 2000s, because I was reading these articles on websites about the Sinestro Corps War, and it was Sinestro and the Anti-Monitor and Superman Prime and Cyborg Superman and Mongol, and they were all teaming up against the Green Lantern Corps, and I was like, oh my God, that sounds amazing. I have to read it. And that's how I got back into comic books.
Nice.
Cool.
Nice.
Well, let's kind of take this discussion back to where we began in terms of some of the philosophy of it. Because we talk about these big giant police forces. What I quite enjoy is the whole Western genre sheriff type versions of it. You see that a bit like a small town. You get a feeling of that in Kenobi, the novel, when he was at Tatooine taking care of Luke when Luke was a child. Things like that. And there's also the Mad Max series, in the States, called The Road Warrior. So the first of the Mad Max films was from 1979. It's Australian, and it's before everything went to complete crap. It's before the nuclear holocaust. So you have the Mel Gibson person, Mad Max. He's part of this police force called the Main Force Patrol in rural, desert-oriented Australia. And talking about when society collapses or civilization just isn't there and you're creating civilization, what you get into a Western. You get into individuality and communities trying to figure out how to maintain a level of violence so that people can have their own lives. And that's key. So if I can recommend 2 non-science fiction series out there for these underlying law enforcement philosophies, or at least issues or things that matter in terms of how society reacts, for civilizations that's not established or fallen, I highly recommend the HBO series Deadwood, which is about establishing a Western town in one of the Dakotas. I think it's North Dakota, maybe South Dakota. Deadwood. It's a real place. Highly recommend it there. Other real-life cop show if you want to talk about law enforcement and issues which is contemporary in our city environment when there's civilization, but there's corruption and there's out-of-control drug dealing, is The Wire. Highly recommend. I recommend that series because it looks at society issues both from a law enforcement point of view as well as the ground level, the criminal point of view. So there's that. Yes, I'm talking about not real, like regular cop genre TV shows and Western genre, but you see that.
No, it's perfectly fine.
You see that.
Go ahead and...
Yeah, you see that in elements of it in science fiction as well, because often you're dealing with similar issues: the lack of law, the lack of the rule of law, or the corruption of the rule of law. So the rules should apply to everyone equally. If not, you don't have the rule of law. So,
right.
What do you guys think?
Well, that's probably some of that is why, if I had to pick one favorite law enforcement officer in all of sci-fi, going back to where I began with my blatherings on this particular episode, it would have to be Odo, I think, on Deep Space Nine, largely because we see him remaining head of security or the constable on DS9 through several regime changes. And his role, the nature of law enforcement, changes with each regime. He starts out under the Cardassians when he's sort of part of this military group designed only to keep order, even when he's keeping order at the expense of the poor, hapless Bajorans who are being oppressed by this horrible, oppressive government. And he's doing a number of sort of morally gray things that one ought not to do, but he's doing it because of his commitment to law. And then he moves into the rather sunny Federation phase of Deep Space Nine. And as each successive government change happens, and it keeps going back and forth, we see him being trusted to uphold the law, but in each iteration, the relationship of law enforcement to the state changes slightly. And I think that's a really, really neat depiction of the types of law enforcement you could find in the real world, in science fiction. So I would pick him as my number one go-to sci-fi law enforcement dude.
Well, yeah, because also, no matter which regime is in charge of DS9 or Terok Nor, depending on which who is in charge, he still maintains his own sense of justice, and even when he's asked to do things that he finds morally questionable, he finds a way around that in a lot of respects.
A lot of times, yeah.
Yeah.
Early Odo less so, but yeah, as he moves on, he does develop that centered vision of justice, which becomes even more important ultimately than his views of law.
Right.
Yes, the peacekeeper. Or the investigator.
Do other folks have absolute favorite examples of law enforcement in sci-fi?
I don't know.
Yeah,
other than the Green Lanterns, yeah.
I have to say,
or Batman.
Yeah, no. Hey, Batman's not really law enforcement.
Yeah, Batman.
We're forgetting Dudley Do-Right.
Thank you for that, Randall. Appreciate that.
One of the all-time best.
Yeah, let's not explain the reference, shall we? Okay.
Hey, I've at least heard the reference.
There we go. You get the joke then. Any last thoughts before we wrap up about law enforcement, science fiction, and Geekdom? I
don't think so.
I just want to say, remember, the police are your friends. In most cases in real life. In science fiction, not so much. So, how about you, Derek? Any last thoughts?
I have the right to remain silent.
Oh, God. Thank God for that, eh? Randall, take us out. Any last thoughts?
Not a lot. I just think I will take this opportunity to thank you guys again for putting up with me and having me on the podcast. I love it when we have these little brushes with law. Law enforcement, of course, is a lot different than the sort of thing that I deal with from day to day. I think about it sometimes as an evidence professor, but I really love how you guys use this podcast as a vehicle to discuss these real world phenomena and how they're depicted in science fiction and what that means for the way that we use science fiction as a lens to assess how we cope with things in real life. I think you're doing a great job, and I'm really grateful when you guys let me be a part of this.
Aw, thanks, Randall.
Yeah, thanks, Randall.
We're always happy to have you on.
Yeah, and we know you're a busy person, so when we have you on, it just makes things so much better. So,
well, thank you kindly.
Yeah, you do. We'd love to get your perspective, both as a law prof and as a published novelist of Before Life.
Drink.
You did that on purpose.
What? See Before Life? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Again.
You're
going to have fun editing this one.
That's me good. All right, we're going to close up for a bit. To take us out, please join us on our Discord server. Everyone's invited. So if you want to get an invite for our Discord server, please check out our social media. There are some conversations. Sometimes it's busy, sometimes it's not. And lots of podcasts out there have Discord servers, and we encourage you to take part in any or all of the conversations that's happening everywhere. Because I think what's key about podcasting and what's key about community is conversations. And that leads to things like the rule of law, to get very macro there. Okay. Yes. So Twitter, we at SciFi Pubcast. It's managed by myself. We also have Instagram, which is focused on food, drink, and anything restaurant related, which is also managed by me, Joel. And then we have our Facebook page. Yes, people are still on Facebook. Who knew? Which is focused on geek news, and it's managed by Derek. Derek, you're doing a great job, man, on the Facebook page. Keep it up.
Thank you.
If you want to get in touch with us, send us an email at management@scifipubcast.space. We always like people do reviews on various podcatchers, so yeah, you know what to do, right? Carrie, what's your Twitter address?
My Twitter handle is Carrie Blackfire42. That's KERI Blackfire42.
And Derek, what is yours, sir?
I'm at Derek J. Beebe.
Randall, what's your Twitter?
At Randal_Graham.
Yes, and I'm at Joel_Welch is my Twitter address. So it's close.
That's weird. We both have the same middle name.
Yes, I know. It's an underscore. It's just to underscore the point. Okay.
Nice.
Is that a popular name in Canada?
It's traditional.
Yeah,
it's named after our first prime minister, John _MacDonald.
All right. We're going to close it up. Make it home safe, please. And thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Take care and be safe.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Music provided courtesy of Logan Rathbone. Podcast logo by Drew M. Copyrighted Joe Welch. Listen responsibly, and we can't wait for your next visit to our fine establishment. Cheers.